the show rolling right now with one of my favorite comics in the game. He is incredible. He's one of my favorite joke writers. Give it up for Christopher Anthony. Come on up here.
To my visitors, much like you, I came to New Orleans a few times before I ended up living here. And I honestly assumed, seeing all the people walking like this everywhere, that they were drunk. And then I walked on New Orleans sidewalks and I was just like, on the set of an Indiana Jones movie, I'm like, we can't both step in the same spot at the same time! That's not a small puddle, that's a pool! Don't step there! You know, that happens. And then I was just like, okay, well, people in New Orleans are like super, like environmentally friendly and conscientious, because like when I first moved to New Orleans, I saw these people, I'm like, wow, a lot of people have bikes out here, But I live in New Orleans, and I'm like, wow, a lot of people have DUIs out here. Like, you don't give a shit about the environment. You can't legally drive. You're not woke, you're broke. Like, save the money and just pay off the ticket. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And then, like, a lot of people aren't from here. There's, like, a lot of transplants in New Orleans. Most of them are livers. Ochsner is #1 nationwide in liver transplants because of the aforementioned drinking that I was just talking. People get drunk out here, but also the sidewalks are fucked up, so that doesn't really help. It's true, okay. And it's crazy because they like changed a bunch of the names of the streets, recently, because and what I wasn't like ignorant. I wasn't like, oh, I didn't know that street was like racially based. Because I didn't know what that street was. There hasn't been a sign there for like 11 years. But they immediately put new signs up. So I've been talking to City Hall because I come across well over a dozen very racist potholes that we need to get rid of immediately. Okay, cool. If you can applaud real quick or make some kind of noise if you're from New Orleans or familiar with New Orleans culture. Okay, all of you people will enjoy this. The rest of you just wait 35 seconds. I'll find something new for you. I made a mistake during Mardi Gras. Okay, we all make mistakes during Mardi Gras. Okay, my mistake was I gave my friend a king cake February 20th. Customary. The problem is that friend had a miscarriage February 6th, 2 weeks before. Now that's not the mistake. The mistake was giving her a king cake and saying, don't worry, there's no baby in this either. Thank you. Some of these jokes are for me, okay? I have to be with me all the time. So they have this thing called the neutral ground, and if you go on an overpriced tour with somebody who can't get employed elsewhere, they will tell you it's because it's one place where the French and the Spanish didn't stab each other. If you go to the Bronx, it's the opposite. The French and the Spanish stab each other anywhere. So they call it the neutral ground because it's like, let's all get along here. But if you were here during Mardi Gras, people fought over the neutral ground. Like, my family has been sitting at this spot, right by that puddle of urine, by this little bus stop right here. We've been here this whole time. And I don't know if you noticed, I left my niece here since Wednesday. I'm like, I thought she was a prostitute. Maybe she could have changed clothes. I don't know. If you were here, that's extremely funny. If you weren't here, read a book. Come on, let's go. New Orleans has 3 seasons, okay? Too cold to go anywhere, too hot to do anything, and Mardi Gras. You're in the too cold to go anywhere, but thankfully you're here, because it's equally warm, unless you don't have central heating. Unless you live in New Orleans. Okay, well, I'm moving along. I ended up, here's a little helpful advice. You're in the South. South has a bunch of nice people. I know it has nice people because my neighbors check my mail. while I'm in town. Like, I'm going to my house every day. And it's funny that I am missing a package. And when I noticed it, when I threw away my trash, I saw the outside of my package in our trash can. So how was it? Does it work? To my travelers in New Orleans, you guys, we all grew up. If you had a privileged household, you maybe had a tooth fairy. My mom just waited for me to learn about tooth decay. Anyway, so we have something called the spare change fairy. Okay, so the tooth fairy takes your tooth and puts money. The spare change fairy goes into your house. It goes into your car, takes all the spare change, and leaves behind empty beer cans and cigarette butts and a little bit of pee. You know, that's not their fault. They fell asleep in there, is what it is. Spare change fairy, it's good. You're not going to find that in books. That's education right here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, they're also really careful to tell you about all the drug-free zones, but they never tell you about the free drug zones. Basically, most of the French Quarter, especially if you don't look like you're accompanied by your parents. I was in New Orleans, okay? I was visiting at the time, and so I was walking back to my Airbnb. Now, I look like someone who does drugs. I get it, I know, it happens. Doesn't help that I was visiting from Miami. I'm Hispanic, and I was up very late, right? And they were like, hey, do you party? And I'm like, of course I party. I'm just coming home from the French Quarter. It's like 1:30 in the morning. They're like, no, man. You want some party favors? And I was like, I usually don't decorate. Are you selling like streamers or something out of a trunk? He's like, no, man, I got weed. I got the best weed. And I'm like, two things are wrong. One, if you have the best weed, you should have like a call-in service or something. I feel like the best weed just sells itself. And secondly, you're trying to sell me weed when there's a cop right there. This happened. He looks at the cop, looks at me, and says, I already asked him, but they drug test. Welcome to New Orleans, guys! Give it up for Ryan Rogers!
Christopher fucking Anthony, everybody! He's not gay, but that jacket sure is. Damn. We're gonna keep the show rolling. Your next comic is just as funny as he is adorable.